Welcome back, my beauties, to Heaven on Earth, the podcast where psychotherapy meets spirituality, where your inner journey becomes your outer abundance, and where together we explore the visible and invisible dimensions of being human. I'm your host, Claudia Cauterucci. I have missed you. It's been about 2 months since we've been together. Life was lifing and had other plans. So it invited me to slow down a bit and to move between my two homes. And so I was spending less time creating and more time observing, paying attention. But trust me, I got a lot of clarity, a clearer lens, a new idea, because I'm always thinking about life, about being human. And as I was moving from place to place while I was driving long hours, kept thinking about what is the coherent thread that I am constantly working on and have been working on for 25 years for sure, but probably more than that. So move in, come closer. Because as you know, I don't think that heaven on earth is an actual destination. It's an experience. And it's the experience of becoming fully intimate with life, with ourselves, with one another, with wonder, with meaning. So let's snuggle up. Let's get close and let's wonder together. I have a feeling. I have a feeling that there's something more about being human. And I've been thinking about humanity a ton lately, especially as we see so many shifts, so much changing. And I'm just constantly looking around and asking myself that. A few mornings ago, I was sipping my coffee as I do. I was doing my morning ritual. It was nice and quiet. And I looked over at my dog, Chance, who was sleeping beside me on the floor. If you've been listening for a while, you've heard Chance bark in the background. And you know that Chance is my beautiful 100-pound long haired Akita. Look up the long haired Akita. You'll see what I mean. He's like a combination of a lion and a wolf. Gorgeous. And Chance just recently made the transition with living from my son to living back with me. Getting him here required months of planning, phone calls, airlines, documents, vet visits, waiting, logistics. There were moments of anxiety, of fear, of glee. And there were moments of me wondering where everything was going to come together. But Chance doesn't know any of that. He doesn't know there were forms. He doesn't know there were airline policies. He doesn't know that I was up at night checking off my lists, making sure everything was accurate. He knows one thing and one thing only. I'm with my person. And somehow that was enough. And I smile because we human beings have an amazing talent. We make life complicated. Sometimes we have to. Sometimes we don't. And that started off a wildfire of thinking for me. Like, what actually makes us extraordinary as humans? I really was thinking about this. I tickle my brain all the time. So let's do it together. We've spent centuries celebrating intelligence. We've measured IQ. We love productivity. We promote speed. We've created so much of our civilization around information. And that's where we're standing. In fact, we come from the era of information, the era of the mind. You've heard me say this before in other podcasts. Everything has been about the mind, about information. And you've also heard me wonder about what else could we be measuring? Because when I've been thinking about it, the moments that have truly transformed my life haven't been exactly the moments where I've learned the most cognitively. They've been the moments where I saw things differently, where I was transformed in my seeingness, when I could see something else differently. I understood it from a different angle. How about this? When I loved differently, when I learned different ways of loving, when I chose differently, making different choices. That's what's changed me. That's what's made the most impact in my life. And of course, that caused like a string of epiphanies. And you've heard this before, right? What if the future belongs to emotionally intelligent humans? What if that's our jam? What if that's our power punch? It's not about knowing more because AI is going to do that. AI is going to be intelligent, way more intelligent than we expected. What if what humanity is being called to, or what you and me are being called to, is to be calmer in uncertainty, to know how to regulate? What if staying connected to each other is really what matters as the world feels more and more divided? What if humans have the hack to that? How about people who know how to repair? Talk about repair a lot when it comes to parenting and being in a couple and friends, family, the magic of repair. What if we actually took grieving as an art, as a process that's already happened, but really, really to bring it to the forefront? What if we took making meaning out of life, being a meaning maker, more seriously? How do we become more intimate with life? Most of you know that I've spent over 25 years sitting with folks in psychotherapy, which is highly intimate. I listen to stories. I'm watching their identities unravel and then slowly rebuild, sometimes creating new identities. I watch people survive things that they never thought they could survive. I've watched them learn to adore the ordinary moments in life that slowly but surely move from the ordinary to the extraordinary because it becomes transformational. And yeah, the bottom line that I've learned is that humans have so much juice. We are extraordinary. And it has nothing to do with being perfect, with being rational. And it's not because we're the smartest species on the planet either, or in the universe. We're extraordinary, as Viktor Frankl would promote, because we can make meaning. We can take suffering we are seeing on the planet and transform it into compassion and take the wound and make it into our gift and take our limitations and alchemize them into our expansion. We can take our heartbreaks and make them the elixir of wisdom. We can take an ordinary Tuesday morning, a sleeping, beautiful, crazy haired dog, a cup of coffee, a delayed flight, a goodbye, and subtly mix all of that into love. This is what becomes identity, belonging, civilization. There is something about being human. And I'd like to invite us to be thinking about that more, especially right now, marveling at our juicy, juicy humanity. I've been thinking about my work lately. And as you all know, because you're my audience, I've talked a lot about it being the merger of psychotherapy and spirituality. And that's still true. That's certainly a foundation for me. But I think something larger is emerging. That's what I'm truly coming back with after this little 2-month hiatus. And today I'd say that my work is at the intersection of psychology, philosophy, mythology, culture, everyday life. Get this, bam, hope. And I'm not meaning wishful thinking. What I mean is hope as the quiet yet constant belief that ordinary life is consistently revealing something extraordinary. But get this, if we're willing to notice. I'm back, and I'm not back with more information. I'm back with the invitation of noticing again, the invitation to become more intimate with our lives, to put wonder in the forefront of our brain, to ask better questions. Because as you know, been beating this drum a little bit, I don't think the future is going to belong to the folks who accumulate the most information. It's going to belong to the people who remember how to be deeply human. So, yep, get your backpack, get your snacks. That's what I want to talk about. We're going to take that journey because it's what the times are calling, one ordinary moment at a time, because the all is in the small and the small is in the all. And yes, I'm going to date myself by saying, like Casey Kasem did in the late 70s and early 80s, keep your feet on the ground, but reaching for the stars. I'll see you in my very, very near next episode. I'm just doing my welcome back. See you soon.